existence of a healthcare professional is an unusual one. You know, you deal with a kind of a daily diet of trauma, loss, death and dying, chronic ill health, and that really takes its toll on the staff, and we began to recognise that. And I think unless you want a healthcare force of robots, then you need to address that emotional need.
The Schwartz rounds were introduced as a way of taking care of staff. There was a recognition that staff were doing excellent care, but were repeatedly saying they felt undervalued. And so several measures were sort of put in place to address that, and the rounds was one measure, and I think it's been really successful.
And we know if people struggle, we either then tend to kind of either over-engage sometimes with our patients or disengage and walk away from difficult situations. So I think what it does and how it will impact on care is that staff hopefully will be able to talk when they're stuck or they struggle.
Stories remain with us throughout our professional career, and if they're not shared at times, I think that can make it difficult for people. So it's a sharing of emotions, which we know can help.
The whole point of the Schwartz round is not about solving the problem, because the problem was only the framework around which we're discussing the impact that it's had on us, the difficulties in working in a busy health service, the difficulty in knowing how much of ourselves we can reveal to patients, how involved we can get with patients, because there's a desire to protect oneself by not opening up to patients and not acknowledging one's feelings. And I think you store those up, and the more you store those up, the less human you become.
I think the Schwartz rounds have, they've certainly taught me that staff carry the most enormous burden. We see and hear things constantly, which are terribly traumatic, actually, and we carry those stories for years and years. And in fact, one of the things that comes out continually in Schwartz rounds is that people carry these stories for decades. Sometimes we never forget. So it's had a real impact on me in that I now recognise in my colleagues that we all need support. It's not just patients that need support, we all do. And the rounds are a real opportunity to begin to explore that emotional burden of the work that we do.